One thing that I wanted to go ahead and let y'all know now before we kick off too much is, as y'all have probably heard prior, one of the things that we have coming that has to do with our Crystal Vale expansion is called the Perilous Journey, and all of the details of that are not yet out, but they will be coming. However, we actually have a custom video that was made for it. The music was done by Pogo, and we actually used one of the animators that won one of our previous community contests. We contracted them to make this video for us. So it's something that our creative department has been working really hard on, and that is being pushed live to our YouTube right now and being shared in the AMA voiceless chat by Risen. So make sure y'all go check it out after the AMA. It's a really, really cool video. I think y'all will be really excited by it. I know we are. Aside from that, a couple reminders. You can raise your hand, as some already have, and we will be bringing people on stage at the end of this for some live questions. Please do keep the questions biz dev related, and if your question gets answered during the first portion of the AMA, unraise your hand just so that we don't pull people up on stage for no reason, so that we can get to more questions. As always, everything that we talk about here in terms of future development and future plans is all tentative. That is the plan now. Everything is potentially subject to change. With that being said, I'm going to turn over to Frisky Fox for a full 10-minute wrap.
All right. Yeah, I'm excited about that Perilous video there. It's so well done. It's just amazing. And I was able to see it sort of get built from the ground up. It's really cool to see the storyboarding that went into it and the effort with making the music match, and just really a polished product. And it is a really good segue into expansion talks as well. We're currently all hands on deck, working very hard on launching into Crystal Vale, and it will be a perilous journey. It's this new uncharted land that we're heading into, and that's in our game, but also it's a, I guess, metaphor for our project itself. We are the first ever project to try to do something like this in all of crypto that I'm aware of. And it's really uncharted territory. We're expanding. We have a really good team, and we've been connecting with all of the right people that we need to make it be a huge success. I've heard a lot of questions over the past months or so about, hey, Avalanche, tons of users, tons of liquidity. I think it's currently one of the largest side chains that are out there. I don't know if we could call it a side chain. It's a L1 chain, is just really crazy growth, and all kinds of stuff are being built there. And so I've been asked a lot about how are you going to handle stuff for gas fees and things like that? Aren't they higher over there? Isn't that the whole reason that you launched here on Harmony was lower fees? And the answer is yes, those are very high on our concerns. So Avalanche has a lot of really cool things there. We've been looking into sort of architecting things a bit differently. We've been looking into roll-ups and side chains and subnets and just all those things that are there, and working very, very closely with the Avalabs engineers that are there. All of them are very excited to have us expanding onto their chain, and they are really eager and willing to help us in any of the ways that we need to ensure that that will be a success and a really good experience for the players and for the holders of our coins. So I'm super excited about that. We have some things to announce soon, but we are hard at work on some really cool groundbreaking options that no one else has done there. I think you'll see a lot of additional utility put in for some of our utility tokens, and you'll see a lot of extra value added to those, and the ability to do a lot of really cool things with the control of our setup there. So I've probably said too much on that, but stay tuned for that. The other side of things here on Harmony, we've seen some great, amazing growth and really pushing everything here to the limits. Harmony has had some issues with so many transactions and spam that the Harmony team has been addressing, and they have been releasing all kinds of things to have them get fixed, get patched. They also, what's his title? Poppy He reached out to me to see if we could get lunch tomorrow, so I'm planning on that. And he said that they are creating a DFK task force to sort of help us to make sure that we have all the tools that we need as a project to make sure that our users here on the Harmony chain will have a really good experience every time they use our chain here. And to that end, we are also closely working with their engineers to see what our options are for creating our own DFK validator node and RPC endpoints that would be basically dedicated for our API 6, and then also having another one for our end users as well. Having that control in-house and essentially being able to spin up enough resources that are basically dedicated to our players is one of the things that we are really looking into there. In the end, what we're trying to do is set ourselves up for this new growth phase where we have so many players. I think in the last 3 weeks, we added 50% to the size of our player base just in 3 weeks. And that's insane. And we don't see that growth stopping anytime soon. It's just going to accelerate, especially as we start to expand onto these other chains and have some players that are from other chains that will be coming here, and also vice versa. You'll see a lot of stuff there. So we are very mindful of that and trying to figure out the best way to set ourselves up for success for that. In that realm of things, we did launch API 6, and it was a long awaited, really cool feature there, but we basically threw everything out that we had for API 5 and started from scratch. We said, you know what, we need to make something that hasn't ever been done by any other project and have us basically create our own architecture from end to end to serve and scale both horizontally and vertically there. So Pinecone, he was the mastermind of all that, and he did a really amazing job on that. And we launched that into beta last Wednesday. And hopefully after all those little issues have been worked out, which they have mostly been worked out now, we will be trying to launch that into production as early as this Wednesday if everything goes well. And I think that will really help to improve the player experience of all of our users that are in the tavern, that are looking at their heroes and their quests and things like that. Also sets us up to have a really good experience for cross-chain, because our old API was basically relying on the graph technology, and it is set up very well to go through one chain. But if you have 2 or 3 chains, it basically starts to have issues. So API 6 is set up with that in mind from the ground up. So super excited about that. Looking at the clock, and I just realized that I've been talking a lot. So let me wrap up Lens and Combat, 2 of the major things that we are currently working on. We have some really cool things in place for those that are coming soon. So stay tuned for that. Really excited about that. And with all that, I'll turn the time over to Dreamer. He is here to talk about all the exciting things we're doing on the expansion and biz dev side of things as well. So Dreamer.
Thank you, Fox. Yeah, so just to give a preview, I think we're going to touch very lightly on a number of programs and policies that we're progressing that are all really exciting for different reasons. We'll hop into kind of relationship updates on, ways that we're progressing the overall experience and utility in the game, and end with some upcoming events. So to start, I think we want to do a recap of the tax bounty. So we have Sunbear on, who really was heading that and will be really driving a lot of the programs that we're going to talk about today. So I'll turn it over to him for a quick update.
Thank you, Dreamer. I'll be quick, and I'm really excited to share this with y'all. We've had our first bounty happen here, first DFK bounty, the transaction history report generator. Big response to that, 270 participants. And I also just want to say, this is a response to the community, to you all. You wanted something that would help with taxes or just bring together all your information. So you're going to be seeing this happen more often, where we elicit information or suggestions from you all, and then we put bounties out to make it happen. So 270 participants from 42 different countries across the world. So that was pretty exciting. 30 products were submitted, created a private Discord for these folks to work together. A lot of support happened within that Discord channel, but with DFK and with each other, which is really cool to see. We had 1 submission that met all the criteria, so we actually gave them the first place for that, and 2 that were really close and produced great products for second and third. And then we had an XJewel holder community vote for the follow-ups all the way through our top 10. So those were just announced this last Saturday. Congratulations to the winners, DFK Report, Mellow Green Giant, DFK Tracker, Josh and Joseph, and Jewel Ninja, Brian from OX Manic, and Gandalf and Frodo. So really exciting outcome. And again, look for us to be asking for more feedback on what you want to see in the bounty program in the future.
Awesome. And that kind of leads into the programs. So bounty program, it really is meant to be what the team looks like we need, what the community sees that we need, and communicating it, identifying good ideas, and quantifying a fair bounty, and really having this be an ongoing program. So huge success. Thank you, Sunbear, for leading it. Thank you, everybody that participated, that voted, and that is using the really beautiful and awesome tools that came as a result. We look forward to the growth that we'll have kind of partnering with all of the participants in the project going forward. Some other related programs, we're working on a grant program. So we announced the Harmony grant a while back. Part of that, if you read closely, a big part of that is grants that we can pull from that and have a 2-to-1 match from DeFi Kingdoms as well and allocate to projects. So a quick overview is, if you're thinking about, man, I wish I could create something that can use bloaters or various tokens or the hero NFTs. I wonder if DeFi Kingdoms would be okay with that. The answer is yes. We want people to build in this little metaverse that we are creating for all of us, right? Use the tokens, use the NFTs, and reach out with ideas and plans. And we might not only be excited for you, and we might be able to help fund it and give some grant money. So working on a program there to help not only encourage and support, but actually financially partner in some of these ideas by way of a grant. Another program, we had a lot of success with the Odette Relief Fund. We want to continue that focus on have a charitable program really be created so that, possibly within the game and having achievements and having a way to vote on charities for X time period would all be very exciting for all of us to come together as a community and do some good, and also, keep on with that DeFi Kingdoms match as well. The fourth program, which I think many are hoping for, that we did want to officially say that we are looking to create and build, is something similar to the Scholar program that is used in Axie Infinity. We are not looking to copy and paste what they do. We have been spending over a month and a half now learning from various sources. Some people within the community that have reached out in the game directly, for those that have been exposed to it, talking to other chains and other professionals and some of the largest guilds involved as well on what are the pain points, what works, what doesn't. And really what we've come up with is something very different, but what we believe to solve many of those pain points. It's going to be good for all involved, not just those that would like to participate in DeFi Kingdoms without the necessary funds to maybe buy a hero, but for those that have found themselves gotten overexcited and summoned so many heroes that you don't have time in the day to get out and quest all of them. We're really looking to solve a number of needs there, in addition to bringing in some large guilds that have been excited and maybe waiting on the sidelines because we didn't have the infrastructure for them to deploy, all of their resources. And we'll probably see some new guilds created as a result as well, where people within the community can unify themselves and get together and make some really fun things happen. Who knows, maybe down the road it'll all go really well with LANs and tournaments and PvP and others. So we're really excited about that program. I'll pause on the name of the program. It's all a working title for now, but it is not the same. It does solve a similar problem, but it also solves many more pain points that exist today. So stay tuned for that. Another policy is on the gardens. So within the gardens, if you've noticed, we haven't really added a pair for a while. Every time we add a pair, like a trading pair, like for example, when we added Jewel to Avox or Jewel to FTM, and it's disruptive, right? It does pull some emissions. We need to have supporting bridges, and then we have to build liquidity. We've wanted to promote consistency and stability in the gardens, and also, reevaluate and see what makes sense for our current and future phase of growth that we're in. We're feeling that the policy could adjust so that the focus going forward would be more focused on Jewel and blue chip pairs. Now we're really working out all of the details and what that policy will be, but it could happen that there might be a pair or a garden or an incentivized pool that no longer really qualifies under the new policy. So something that is helpful to note here is if and when we release that policy, we're probably going to couple it with a community vote on those that no longer qualify if we would like to sunset them or grandfather them in. So look out for that. I think that will be closer in the shorter term, where we would firm up that policy, release it, and then open up a vote to those that might not qualify going forward. A couple of topics that we've mentioned in previous Biz Dev AMAs that I wanted to follow up on. One is the central exchange listings. We still are not really aggressively pursuing that. We do have contacts that reach out to us. We build relationships. We're learning. I think the question on futures like perpetual contracts, is that our focus? It is not our focus. We are not actively pursuing that. And honestly, Coinbase doesn't even have them available. So there have been a couple questions on that over the last month or so. Just wanted to give an update. No real change on that. Still in holding pattern. We are focused on building our partnerships that are directly related to our expansion, to making our experience more enjoyable, to lower those barriers to entries and build horizontally and vertically, within the core team and within the community and participants. Other decentralized exchanges, obviously, there's a snapshot related to, bridging over Joule to Avalanche, and we do have the support of Pangolin. But on other chains as well, there's a lot of interest to be able to at least buy and hold Joule. So Spirit Swap on Phantom is an area that they've actually gone ahead and made a farm for us, and that's active there. There are people that within the community that have bridged over there and are participating. We think that's really exciting that other communities, prior to any officially like progressing expansion or anything, we already have other DEXs that are looking to incentivize their participants to hold Joule. So very exciting. Looking at other chains as well that may be wanting to add similar farms in the future. Speaking of chains, we all know of our really close relationship with Harmony, Avalanche. Recently, we were in Bitcoin Miami, or the North American Bitcoin Conference in Miami, and Phantom was one of the main sponsors there, and met them in person, did some great relationship building there, a lot of great talent there, and a lot of people in that community that are interested in us. So building relationships there, but also a newer relationship on the chain side is Polygon. They reached out to us. We're very proactive. Actually, just talked to them again today. That chain is known to really look for games, historically mainly on like mainnet Ethereum, and bridge them over or fork them over, port them over. They're very interested in DeFi kingdoms. Their community is very interested. We're just kind of getting to know them. We're looking at possibilities in the future, but just wanted to express that with all of the pain points that we have in the broad market, with the various chains and everything that we go through, it's important for us to continue to build our network, to build our presence. I think I said before once on a previous AMA, quoting Conor McGregor, we're not here to take part, we're here to take over. And that was more of a joking, exciting, like very bullish comment. But also we need to not limit our reach to any chain for all those that are interested in partnering and to building our relationship and to seeing in ways we can benefit. It's not all about expansion. There are so many incredible minds within this industry. And as I sat in the conference last week, I saw a lot of the same stuff. I keep seeing a lot of copying and pasting. I see a lot of, doing what has been done, but very few people are doing what we are doing, truly innovating the space, trying to get the best ideas, have a growth mindset, and really grow the business, the DeFi space, the gaming space, and the NFT utility. It's all incredibly exciting, and we want to make sure that we include all that are interested to be included in that path and that journey as we pioneer. So that's kind of another exciting progress point in terms of relationships there. For in-game utility, part of BizDev is we are constantly thinking what applications are out there that if we integrated in, that if we partnered with, or even had like some type of fee sharing, what would make the experience better? One of them is a Fiat On-Ramp. And there are a number of solution providers out there. And we have been talking to as many as we can just to learn. Again, it's all about learning. We don't want to make decisions prior to having all the relevant data. And I think in the last 3 weeks, I've probably had, 8 or 9 calls on this topic alone. Everybody is very interested in the different solutions and what that could look like. So if you imagine when each of us first started and clicked on game.defykingdoms.com, we may or may not have had Harmony One in our MetaMask wallet, right? Well, let's assume we didn't. And we come in and we see that instead of following a tutorial, which is very well made tutorial, but having the tutorial help us show like, okay, go to a centralized exchange and then, and then send it to this wallet and then send it to your MetaMask and bridge and etc. If instead you can connect either a bank account or a credit card and buy someone and get right into the game, imagine our ability to scale. Imagine all of the people through the Scholar program, as we go through other chains, as we continue to have success, as we have more gameplay-like features and people getting into the game for different reasons, that barrier to entry and that difficulty to get started is improved significantly. So really focus on a Fiat On-Ramp that could be integrated into the game, keep you on that on the site. And also my personal focus is having partners that are willing to share some fees with us so that those fees could be pumped into the bank, could be pumped into the Quest fund, so that as we are all partnering with these external service providers, it's building the kingdom. It's adding to our own little metaverse and making sure we're giving back to the players in the community. So that's really exciting. Related topic is the bridge. We have a number of bridge links in the docs that really take you to other bridges, for the Terra bridge, for the Harmony bridge, previously AnySwap and currently multi-chain bridge. We're looking to make that a better experience, especially as we're thinking about cross-chain. We really want to enter that with the ability to bridge at least some of our core assets, especially Jewel, within a more natural user interface. So a lot of work has been going into that and our partnerships. Our front end developers looking at the API that we would need to integrate into our own user interface. So look forward to that. I think that we will, hopefully have somewhat of a progress point to present in the coming weeks there. But that is a focus so that as we are bridging as part of our BAU kind of gameplay that to come with multiple chains, we would like it to be as more seamless and fun as possible. The other piece there is I've been very focused on fee sharing as well. It's not free to bridge. If we are integrating something into the game, we want there to be fee sharing, and again, for it to be shared with those in the bank and contribute to the Quest fund. So trying to be very transparent about all of the pieces of BizDev today, the various programs that are progressing, the adjustments to the gardens and the inclusion of the community in the vote, our growing relationships of various chains, the addition of potentially Fiat On-Ramp and a game integrated bridge, and then our view on overall exchange listings. The last that I'll end with is just very simple on events. Upcoming event in February, we are looking to join Harmony and kind of have a presence there. There will be a couple of the team members there, many from the community there. There's a lot of focus on building and innovation there. So exciting event for those that are going to be participating. It'll be a great time to see people in person. And then upcoming in March, Avalanche is actually planning a Barcelona event. So for the international folks in the community that are in that part of the world, stay tuned. I think there's going to be a lot of in-person opportunities there. There's also another event in the beginning of April in Lisbon that would be more related to Harmony. That seems much more in the beginning stages, so I don't want to promise anything or speak for anybody else, but those are kind of three main events coming up from a BizDev perspective that we'll look to have somewhat of a presence at, and who knows, might have some kind of fun merch things to give away and interact and build relationships. So I will pause there, Bolon, for any questions that might come, or if before that, Fox, on anything I said, did you want to add to it before we open up to questions?
No, I mean, just like there's so many different things that are like happening here. Like we're basically trying to grow every direction at once, and having Dreamer heading that up is like a huge asset. I saw some people in the chat saying Dreamer for president, and he would get my vote. So really excellent job there. Exciting to see all those things that are like in the works there. Thank you.
For sure. There's so much that's being worked on. I am going to start inviting some people up to stage now. As always, when you join the stage, please mute your mic until we ask you to speak, because we're going to pull a couple people up at a time just to expedite that process a little bit. As they join, I just wanted to re-emphasize a couple of points for anybody who wasn't here at the very beginning. The one thing that I think is really big that I wanted to re-emphasize is that we are constantly working towards making everything smoother on Harmony, on future chains. we are always looking at those ways to improve our processes and our user experience. Also worth noting, as you probably picked up from what Dreamer was saying, there's a lot of people that want to work with us in various ways, and a lot of those partnerships are very beneficial. We are working on a dedicated Biz Dev Contact Form so that we can streamline those conversations and get them in a more organized way to Dreamer himself and Sunbear. So be patient there, but keep an eye out. That will be coming soon, where we actually have a dedicated form for that. Aside from that, real quick, just to quote Frisky himself, he said the other day in Discord, and I feel like it's true of every day with this team, and I'm just happy to be a part of it. It's a good day to buckle down and build. And that's our outlook every day. Every day is a day to build, and every day is a day to improve. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and turn over to Malliance. First question for you, Malliance. Did you just want to hit 3 in a row? Was this your hat trick?
No, I actually have a legitimate question.
Fair.
All right, so this is kind of based on how the game's gone so far. Do we expect to see, after we're in Crystal Vale, another announcement to another chain before we're finished, like getting the full initial investment of Serendale completed? Or do we look to advance into finishing and then moving forward from there?
Yeah, so we might be able to answer that a number of different ways. So first, let's just recap what a timeline of any expansion would look like. It is not a pause Serendale and rebuild everything up to that same point and then launch all at once. It's more of a gradual release, right? Start with the decks, move to Heroes Tavern, move to Quest, and so on. That doesn't and shouldn't and it will not be stopping other progression of land, combat system, and other pieces. So if the question is, after Crystal Vale, would we pause any other future expansions? Let Crystal Vale catch up to Serendale and let Serendale be quote unquote complete. I think that would be hard to go that route, because the intent is not to necessarily complete the game and then just copy and paste it on other chains, as many other projects have done. And instead, we're kind of always in a phase where we will be growing the game modes, and there may be multiple types of actual playable games and modes. The DeFi offerings that's in there, the utility of NFTs, the lore and everything that could follow the storyline. I feel like it's constantly be progressing. So I would say people should expect there to be a similar approach in our horizontal expanding strategy, where other chains would at the appropriate time be added, but it would not be, all right, you start Christabel, hop over to another within like a few weeks or a month, if that makes sense.
Yeah, if I could add a few thoughts to that too, echoing that same sentiment, these expansions aren't traditional expansions that you might see in like regular games. It's more of actually just adding to the base game. Like, we've got all these other like hero classes that are added with each expansion. Those are all part of the base game, and story quests and lore across chains. These are all things that enrich the experience for all players in all realms. And the expansion that we're doing now for Crystal Vale is a lot of uncharted territory. We will, obviously be like having a step back after it's done and saying, okay, what worked well, what didn't, what needs to change, if anything, and having that template to sort of work off of and say, here is a proven existing thing that we've done, and now it's a lot easier to replicate that in these other expansions and have a pretty good idea of exactly how it will look and how it will actually roll out. So it's easier to do the third and fourth ones than it is to do the second one, but we are excited about all of them, basically.
Awesome. And yeah, I know that from being in the community for just under 3 months now, I've talked with a lot of people, and I know that the idea is to eventually have like 16 classes that are across different expansion or different chains and everything. Just wanted to know how that was going to work out. So thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it, Malance. And you're always welcome on stage, so you can get round 4 next week. You have good questions. I like it. Metaz, what can we do for you today?
having me on again. And also thank you for the great insights you've already discussed. I'm also going to ask a question surrounding Crystalvale, but also maybe more specifically around the entire set of expansions you have planned. Specifically interested in how the team wants or sees the balance with the new power tokens in the future. And I'll maybe already add to this that this is not meant to ask about any sort of price speculation. I think it's not necessary for the team to talk about pricing, but I am interested in what you intended for the balance to be between all of the new power tokens coming out. I mean, you've obviously thought about this. You've made a fixed supply for Jewel. You've limited the supply of all of the new power tokens to 1/4 of the supply, but you've equalized the summoning costs. So I was just wondering what the initial intent is, or maybe more specifically, the long-term intent of the balance between the existing power token and the upcoming power tokens.
Sure. It's a great question. And it's a great follow-on question for a theme that I think we touch on pretty frequently and will continue to each time we talk about a new stage of growth and expansion. As you mentioned, utility is meant to be the same, but the overall supply is different. So when we think about the very, very first early on stages, a fixed supply to Jewel was the focus. That was focused on the overall presence on Harmony and a game that grew very rapidly, very quickly with a great following. As we look to provide a native experience to other chains that serves a couple of purposes, one of which it allows participants very loyal to other chains to get excited about a realm that is on their chain made, for that chain, themed for that chain with, a limited sale of heroes with, gene sets and classes that are unique to that chain. That's all very exciting from a marketing perspective, from their perspective, and from all of our perspective, adding incredible new utility with all the new participants and potential inflow of, volume and potential inflow of capital from those new participants. If supply stays fixed the entire time, that's going to cause quite a large spike on price. We need to have some type of a balance there as well, right? So to allow more supply for a token that has similar utility, but at a limited amount, as you mentioned, 1/4, relative to the expected large increase and desired and targeted large increase in player base. From my speculation and my guess, I don't know how those will be equal or unequal, if there will be higher demand versus the increased supply. I would hope so. I can't speculate or promise. But how does that work in terms of a balancing mechanic? Well, I think a lot of these kind of sub-tokens or tokens that are put up next to Jewel, but definitely not the token of DeFi Kingdoms, you'll probably see them be a little bit more volatile, right? People are trading in and out of them and getting into the game. Lower supply could cause price to shift more easily. And as a price goes up or down, I think with a nice native bridge and that whole experience, we will see people take advantage of that. If you want on a summon at a premium, go right ahead. But if you instead move that crystal over and buy some Jewel and summon on another realm with the same ability to get your new hero, you're probably going to do that, which would result in a balance of the overall price of those tokens. So that's how I'd answer it in terms of the utility, facilitating growth, giving new chains, new tokens, and also making it exciting for all of us to have realms where that token really represents that realm and everything within it.
Yeah, also just adding on to that, the market is incredibly efficient. There's even like arbitration bots and things out there. And so if you see the price of one spike up in relation to like the other one, I would think that you would very quickly see it has a effect on sort of like raising all of the other prices as well. So that is sort of the intent of this in-game economy that's very well connected. And you'll also see things where you'll have certain things that will require you to have multiple things. Like you might have to spend Jewel and Crystal for something, or Jewel and Crystal and something else for certain things as well.
At one long-term summation based on what you guys said, and you can either confirm or deny, or maybe don't answer if you don't feel comfortable. But if I'm hearing it correctly, you're actually saying in terms of functionality that we are somewhat doubling the overall power tokens supply of DFK, while in due time, when everything on the cross-chain is developed and the bridges are fully functional, that the markets will potentially be allowed to equalize the prices between the different power tokens.
So it's actually not doubling, because our expansion strategy, half of all of the hero classes are on Serendale. It's sort of our flagship, and Jewel is also our flagship like currency, and so you'll see that carry through. Each expansion will basically like represent a quarter of that, so 2 classes and 125 million new power tokens for that land. But it is basically like meant to be a expansion of a quarter of the size of stuff there, but having the same like utility in most things. There are certain things that you'll be able to do with Jewel that you won't be able to do with some of the other tokens, which we haven't yet released 100%, and is still kind of like being decided. But they are, as far as the in-game utility goes, yes, it's essentially the same.
Thank you so much for the transparency. I'd love to hear more from you guys.
Thank you as well, Matt. Oh, go ahead, Jeremy.
It's a great question too, and I don't want to also miss the other great benefit of the new tokens is the emissions, right? Many people have come to DeFi Kingdoms because of the DeFi aspect, because of the APRs to be able to farm. Not everybody, but many people are participating there and interested. So with Crystal Vale and our plans to expand, and we need Crystal to come from somewhere, right? There will be a new emission schedule. There will be folks that will be interested and excited about those higher emission rates and those higher potentially APRs, depending on how saturated the pools get. Also, if you think about the locking, unlocking topic that has been kind of a topic that of hotter recently, and you think about the schedule of linear unlock for Jewel starting in July of this year and going for 1 year of unlocking linearly, when we expand and we have a new token that has a similar utility, but maybe not full utility as Jewel, and adding like the combination of utility as Fox mentioned, you also have a mechanism that extends the life of the stability, as some see it, of the project, given each time you have an potentially extended locking calendar in the new tokens. So wanted to round out that thought. Very excited about the expansion and the realms to come, and very excited about each of them having their own native power token for gameplay, for utility, and long-term stability.
If I could real quick, actually, I want to tag on. We had a question and it just got reposted anyway, but it kind of ties into that, exactly what we're talking about anyway. As we do these expansions, will XJewel always be the governance token, or will each coin or each token on its own chain also act as its own governance token?
Yeah, excellent question. Each expansion will have their own bank where you can do things like fee sharing and earning rewards from some of the passive things like summoning and from the gardens and such. So yes, there will be X Crystal, for example, and we will have certain votes that impact expansions or like certain chains that will use those tokens for those votes. Yes.
Awesome. Appreciate it. And thank you, Metas, for your question as well. Dirty Cajun Rice.
Hi, everybody. So, with the sheer infancy that this game has, and the amount of opportunities that y'all are reaching for, is there a measurement of success that y'all are looking for, and what is that? And do you find that measurement of success is the same as what you would see as a creator as it would be for the player?
Yeah, I think we might get a couple of responses here. We have a product that really is made of multiple pieces. You have the decentralized finance portion of the DEX, where key metrics include that of like total value locked and trading volumes. You have similar, volume-based metrics for summoning and the sale, the secondary market sale of heroes. I think some stats that we've used here and there that could come at a more fun, achievement-based potentially solution in the future is, those that are questing, how often you're questing, what drops you're getting, how many bloaters you've caught. and to come with, gameplay as it relates to combat or story mode, or, the relation to land and the guilds that would all result. There's a lot there that we can say are metrics of success. I do think that all of our focus is thinking about the player and the community, both on Harmony, to be on Avalanche within our own community, and those that we have yet to join. That's always at the forefront of our planning, and really, looking in retrospect at what we've done and how to learn and adjust going forward.
Perfect. Does that answer your question?
Yes and no. To clarify just a bit, the expansion into additional chains and that measurement that you get from a new coin and a new opportunity for people to have liquidity pools is not necessarily the same as players' ability to engage in the game itself. And that is at the forefront of what the allure is supposed to be, right? Because the liquidity pools exist everywhere. Is there any strain there with responses from the player base on what they find to be important versus what y'all are pushing at the time frame y'all are capable of pushing it for that measurement? Like, do you find that people are looking for actual gameplay more, or is the return on investment enough?
No, it's a great point. And I think, as I led on my comment, there's many pieces to this, right? There's the DeFi version. We are a gamified financial product. We are and have been an NFT, a dynamic NFT marketplace where you can apply those NFTs and play to earn as a play to earn game. An area that's in heavy focus right now is an actual game, right? So we've hinted towards combat and a few other things. Are we only focused on doing what we all see as live now and expanding that horizontally? The answer is no. I think in many of the other AMAs and comments you've given, there's extreme focus right now, especially in recent weeks, on next step delivering various forms of actual gameplay. There's so much we can do with the resources, NFTs, and tokens we have already. And there are many in the community that are even looking to add to it, and will probably be recipients of grants, as was mentioned before, because we don't want to do that all on our own. We want everybody to brainstorm and think how we could add to that value. But definitely within the core game, combat is my personal focus and point of excitement that would be coming, and I use this word a little carefully, soon in the sense that it is definitely in focus, a lot of times being spent, unclear on timeline at this point. But Fox, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, like, in terms of how do you measure success or enjoyment or like whatever from the game, there's like so many different players and styles of play when it comes to stuff like this. There's like some people that are here for the guilds, some people are here for the combat, some people are here for just the like returns on their investment or speculating on NFTs, or maybe they like to summon and roll those dice, and there's all kinds of different offerings that are here, and I think there's a little bit of something for everyone there. As far as concentrating on the game, like we actually just had a meeting this morning, basically restructuring some things to add even more emphasis to trying to get that all of the core exciting things about the gameplay itself into the forefront, and just adding extra fuel to the fire to make sure that they are like super high quality and able to have them get launched ASAP, because those are the things that I'm super excited about at this point as well.
And if I can just add, part of the reason I chose to be a part of this team, and part of what I really appreciate about them, is that there is so much passion around what they're doing, the creativity. These are gamers. These are folks that are playing the game that they're developing. When somebody gets an egg or gets a summoning they're excited about, it could share it in our chats. Like, this is the core of what we're excited about, and we're making this amazing, innovative product. So I'm excited to expand into the other realms, because I want to take my heroes over there and see what I can do with them, see what things I can collect there, see who I can summon with, and what classes come out of it.
Awesome. Well, I can safely say we're all excited and can't wait for that to happen. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. I just want to add win egg. before we bring somebody else up, which I think we'll probably bring one more up, and then we're going to have to call it quits because we're running out of time. Well, depending on what you consider our time. Fox, did you want to address something real quick, or you want to hold off on that?
Sure, anything.
So one thing that has come up a little bit, and I figured now's a good time to address it as any, is we've started seeing the creation of various auto quest bots, and thought this would give us a good opportunity to just kind of clarify our stance on that.
Right. Yeah, no, that's a good question. We've had a lot of questions all along, basically, for things like that. When you have a game like what we're trying to build with all of our like logic and play of the game entirely on chain, which is a whole new groundbreaking thing that no one's really tried to do yet, you have a lot of interesting things that happen because we are basically saying anyone who interacts with a blockchain can interact with our game. It's decentralized. There's not one centralized place or like way to interact with it. So trying to balance that with like what do we do about players that are using bots and that type of stuff is always sort of like ongoing issue, and it's sort of a arms race. On the one hand, we want players to be able to play the game and enjoy it and not feel like they need to use a bot in order to compete with someone who might be doing that. And so that's why the structure of the quests and everything has been built with it in mind, such that you can just like really quickly set your heroes and then head out and do something else and then come back in that. So there's not a ton of like benefit there for those that are using bots. Regular players can still play the game and enjoy it. That said, we are looking at creating a new anti-bot policy soon, which will kind of allow us to say, you know what, like we want real players of our game. Like we want to ensure that players are here to have fun, and anytime that you have the ability to earn from playing a game, you will see other people that are trying to maximize those returns. But we do want to ensure that the players are on even playing fields, and any abuse of bots and things like that would have in-game consequences as well. And so trying to figure out how to handle that has been sort of a ongoing thing. But I think what it'll end up looking like is probably having sort of a blacklist where if your heroes are doing bots and things like that, or exploits or anything, they can be added to a blacklist, and then any heroes on a blacklist won't be able to be sold or bought in our tavern or able to interact with quests or anything like that. And so it's always trying to figure out a good balance of that, from having it be centralized versus decentralized. And I think we would for sure have like a vote on policies there from the community and make sure that everyone is on the same page, because ultimately we all are stakeholders in this and should have input into how it is run. So yeah, that's my answer for now. Currently there is no policy. We are looking into them, and stay tuned for that.
Awesome. I really appreciate that, and just being able to kind of address where we're at with it right now. As always, more information to come. And then I was going to, oh, there we go. Off.
One more little piece there. Sorry, just real quick. This all also plays into the scholarship program that we're trying to create and build. And so having a scholarship program basically entails that you need to have some kind of stance against bots, because if everyone's using bots, then why would people want to do scholarships, and vice versa? It's not the look that we're going for. Like, we don't just want all of our players to be a bunch of bots. We want real people in here.
Yeah, I think that definitely is really big on the not scholarship side. Off to, did you want to close this out with one last question?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me. So I do have a question about incentives, just in terms of airdrops moving forward. I feel with like hero ownership, there's a sense of impermanent loss that you take. Whereas, when jewel price goes up, the jewel price that you can sell for starts to go down. So by investing in heroes, you're kind of losing out on just owning the jewel in the beginning, or like the gains that you would have had if you just held on to jewel. So my question is kind of based around incentivizing X jewels potentially more than gameplay, where there is kind of already a strong benefit from either being in the gardens or owning X jewels because it's looser liquidity and all that stuff. So I was just wondering if it's going to continue to shift, kind of like we've seen with the new like leveling and that kind of stuff, challenges to earn airdrops, if that's going to continue to go that way, or if like in the future we're still going to bias towards X-Jewel holders.
I think you'll always have a place there for X-Jewel holders. That is the main incentivized thing. All of the like richest airdrops and things are always geared towards them. At the same time, we do want to incentivize players of the game that are out there actually investing in heroes and enjoying it and all that type of stuff. Heroes are not just regular NFTs that you see out there that are art, that are just purely speculation, like trying to buy it and then hope that it increases in value and then sell it at a profit. But there are actual like utility vehicles or like investment vehicles to be able to have them like run quests and earn things for you. And it's a whole play to earn aspect of that as well. So it's more complex than just holding and expecting like the price to go up, but also playing with them and earning with them and increasing their level and increasing their value as it goes.
And I would say it's not only like a unilateral relationship, right? I think like holding a hero, if you buy a hero and you hold it and you don't quest it, yeah, there is the potential there's price movement, and then maybe that hero will become more saturated and worth less. So if you're not using your heroes, I think that's obviously one bit of feedback. If you have some heroes, you'd want to use them, and hopefully the Scholar program will help those that don't have the time to quest them as efficiently as possible could offer that solution. The other piece, though, is the game as we see it today is different than 1 month ago or 2 months ago, as it will be very different 1 month, 2 months, 3 months time from now. We've seen the demand for certain heroes like miners and gardeners in the last month relative to the month prior become a lot higher. There's a lot more significant focus on the demand as mechanics are finalized, released, and people set their own value on those heroes. As other parts of the game come out, especially like combat and others, there might be a hero today that is a great gardener but a bad combat hero. There could be a common hero today that is a horrible all professions hero, but maybe is an incredible combat hero. So holding heroes right now and questing them, even if they aren't the best fisher, forager, or whatever, I recommend quest as many as you can, level them up, prepare them for what is to come, because as they're training now, some things that come out later, a lot of those heroes could become a lot more valuable based on the gameplay that is released over time.
And just to piggyback on that real quick, I've said it before in chat, and I stand by it, and I'll say it again. I think calculating ROI on heroes at this stage is very misleading compared to what the ROI on heroes is going to become. Right now we do have all 4 profession quests live, 2 in beta, 2 in, well, both beta and production, but all 4 profession quests are live. But they're still level 0 profession quests. So the returns that we're seeing from even just the profession quests, that's not all that's ever going to be. They're going to have bigger returns from those quests, even aside from the potential returns of PvE and PvP, like Dreamer mentioned. So I think that, right now calculating out ROI on heroes isn't necessarily the standard that it's going to become. But as Dreamer mentioned, in order to really maximize that, those heroes are going to need to be leveled up. To do higher level profession quests, the heroes need to have the profession skills and the levels. So it's definitely more of a long-term from today versus, as you said, if you're holding X-Jewel today, you're just gaining or losing based on the market, whereas heroes are a little bit longer-term play. Does that answer your question, Off?
Yeah, I guess I should have prefaced a little bit that I own quite a few heroes and have full belief in the long-term utility. And it wasn't a question so much as, how do I gain more? But just kind of looking at people asking the question, I only have this amount of money right now. I don't want to invest in a hero at this stage. Their question kind of makes sense because we are, incentivizing in the short term more just because of airdrops and because of price action, just holding the jewel itself. And so I guess my question is, based off of that in the short term, could the airdrops kind of put more of the money in the middle of the table And through this short-term phase, have people go like, oh, the obvious answer right now is to invest in the heroes and have them play the game rather than just waiting on the long-term utility to come about.
Yeah, it's hard to speculate because you could look at it that way. And I think that this that's all this is right now. This isn't financial advice or anything more than speculation, because all we are core participants, developing the game. Really, the community sets the prices on most of this stuff, even the value of airdrops, for example. But let's say we're into the expansion and player base, let's just say, increases by unknown variable. That's a desirable number. Demand for all those heroes out there could then maybe increase, right? So it's really hard to say. I would say for people to have somebody tell them this is the best way for you to make money long term in DeFi Kingdoms, I don't think anybody knows that, because we are all pioneering this together. Instead, I would say engage in what we're comfortable with, what you're knowledgeable about, continue to learn. And as you learn other parts of DeFi, as you learn what's going on with volumes and benefit of being in the bank and the airdrops, and you learn about the heroes and what's released now, people can make their own decisions. But it would be unfortunate to only make the decisions based on known information now and assume that it's the best financial solution, because none of us really know which one will end up being the most profitable if you were to measure them all after the fact down the road.
Does that help, Boff?
Yeah, sweet. Thank you.
Awesome. I appreciate it. So we are going to go ahead and wrap up. We're a little over an hour now. I was just going to hand it back to you gentlemen. Have any closing comments for us?
I'll just say something really quick that we're working our tails off in this. It's going really well. I really appreciate the community's support and all of the ideas. Again, I have a lot of DMs, many of which I can't get to directly. Hopefully, the more automated approach of having our Google form to start, and then maybe a nice shiny place on the website from there to get ideas on bounties, to get connections with potential partnerships, to get requests on ideas you all have on projects you want to run, and maybe grants that you want to apply for. Just, it's all very exciting. This is a team effort. I appreciate everybody's efforts so far. And if you have questions, reach out. I just apologize up front if I can't get to it as quickly as people would like, but it is all greatly appreciated. But Fox, would you like to close us out here with any remarks, or are you good?
Yeah, for sure. Just, I'm super stoked to have been privileged to, work on this project. Every single day I wake up and I'm excited. I'm like, let's build something awesome. We are hard at work, just like he said. Got a lot of really cool things coming up that I'm super excited about. Every day, it's just at the cutting edge of what is possible with the blockchain, and we are pushing that envelope every single day. So stay tuned. We have some exciting things. Really a pleasure to be here with all of you here in this AMA and in the community at large. You guys are amazing, and I just wanted to say thank you to all of you out there. That's it from me.
Thanks, everybody.
Awesome. As always, we really appreciate you guys as a community for being here with us, for asking us these questions. It gives us a great opportunity to be able to speak to the community and hopefully hit on things that are important to a large number of y'all. So we appreciate everything and coming up on stage and asking these questions for us, as well as submitting them through the form in the question suggestions channel. Shameless plug. If y'all do have any questions, you know where to find me. But we really appreciate y'all being here. Appreciate Fox, Sunbear, and Dreamer taking this time to join us. And we will see y'all next week for our next AMA. Thank you much, and y'all have a great day. Bullish.
See you guys. Bullish.
Bullish.